Hello and welcome to the Punter, your guide to the weekend's betting action, the best information you'll find anywhere, although sometimes you do need a little bit of help to crack the code. I'll explain why in a minute. Just come out of the back room where the Champions League and Europa League draws have been made, and the big news is that both Manchester clubs have avoided all the big teams in the Champions League. Did that joke last week, it just amuses me a lot. I got a good draw this week. I've got a great panel of experts as ever. Regulars Neil Channing, our professional punter, is here. Alger from Blue Square is here. And nice to see Russ Wiseman as well from Sporting Bet. Hello, fellas.
Right.
Great to have your company again. And it was fun last week. Just talk us through what happened last week with the horse that was a great tip that we didn't quite get out.
Well, we've confused our novice hurdle races. I've put up a horse in the Albert Bartlett trial, and I think Neil's named the same race but meant a completely different race and put up Grand Away.
That happens to me a lot, actually,
so,
to be fair.
Unfortunately, it does make it harder to win.
Yeah.
I look through until I find the horse. I don't care about that. Yes.
He steered me down a path of thinking that his was the second favourite to the one that I tipped up. It was actually a completely different race.
Right.
You would have backed the double and won if you'd have deciphered the code. But
there you go.
Mine was
a good tip, right?
Mine was Grand Dewey in the champion hurdle trial.
Yeah.
Actually, I think after the race it was like 8-1 for the champion hurdle. I know we're not going to talk about the champion hurdle too much today, but that sounds like quite a good price.
Credit where it's due, though, Nick. If you'd have followed these two guys in, they were really, really decent.
They had a hot
tips
week
as well.
somehow.
Yeah, very, very good indeed.
Alan, a couple of football winners.
Yeah, Crawley and Lincoln in the FA Trophy was the main bet last week. Lincoln won.
Neil, disastrous NFL bets as usual.
As usual,
but
yeah.
Wigan are keeping you in rent.
Well, the NFL actually, to be fair, I think I did actually say, even though I got that game completely wrong, I said it would be under, and it was under, which kind of got me out of it on the NFL. But yeah, Wigan and West Brom, it was basically the big game of the week, wasn't it? It was the game everyone wanted to see. Classic, El Clasico, they called it in my house. And yeah, food is on the Christmas agenda again.
Nice.
Otherwise,
you've got a trademark system now, which is two crap teams. If one of them's got a big price, lump on.
Pretty easy,
it's a really
really,
good system,
as long as one of them's Wigan.
How could West Brom be 8-11? Ridiculous.
Exactly. Russ, how was it for you last weekend?
Yeah, a bit iffy actually, Nick. I mean, these guys kept me going, but let's be honest about one thing. I managed to get a 14-1 on-shot chinned in Amir Khan, so I need to redeem myself slightly. But like I say, I think if everybody followed all the tips on the Punter last week, they'd be doing well, because Owl's double and the horse racing double was pretty strong information.
Well, it's good stuff. Well, we'll try and get you some more winners this week. We're going to start with what's happened during the week. Very quickly at the top of the show, just because it's happened just now, the Champions League and Europa draws have been made. So we'll start with the Champions League, which features Chelsea and Arsenal, and then some other, obviously, big clubs. Any movement as a result of the draw?
Not massive movement. I don't know, from Al's point of view, it's fairly standard. I mean, the biggest movement we saw this week is actually a slight drift in Barcelona because of the injury to David Silva. And David Villa.
Who doesn't get in the team.
He doesn't even get the team either. So, but they've got Leverkusen. They're 14-1 on to go through in that game, Barcelona. So there's no real change there. They're still 13-8 to win the thing. Chelsea have got Napoli, who are very good against City. Actually, they're 2-on favourites to beat them. So they're no shorter in the betting now. They're around about 12-1. And Arsenal, Al's team, it's a complete coin flip that we've got that 5-6 each two to go through against Milan. So no real massive shift in the market from our end. But again, I mean, it's a fascinating draw. But you know, as Neil said before the show, I mean, we've kind of analysed this a lot now. Not going to see huge change now until the first leg of games is out of the way.
Well, there's the odds for the Champions League.
Well,
and, as you say, not too much change, Alan.
We're just looking at our prices. We were 13-8, 5-2, 11-2, and we've clipped each of the top three a point this morning, or just one betting price in. 12-1 Chelsea was a standard price across the board, and we've kept that. Arsenal, we've drifted from 18-1 out to 20-1 off the back of their draw. But also we drifted Milan from 20s to 25. So we're saying that that's a difficult draw for both. And as Russ quite rightly said, we think it's a bit of a match-up, that one.
Okay. Neil, you don't want to talk about this, do you?
Actually, to be honest, I haven't had a bet on the Champions League for 2 years now. Of any description. I mean, I just think it's the most over-analysed thing. I can't see how there can be any value whatsoever. These games are two-legged.
Yep.
How do they decide who gets at home on the first leg?
It's the group runner-up is at home in the first leg, and the group winner.
Who's at home in the first out of Arsenal, AC Milan?
AC Milan, because they were runners-up in their group.
Isn't it better to be at home in the second of the
something
matches?
like 63, 60. I think it's about 65%. But then,
Is it as high as that? That's really interesting.
but the thing is, obviously, it's skewed by the fact that
It's the better
it's a
team.
group
Better
winner,
player,
so it's
yeah,
usually
right.
the better team.
I
So
tend to
you've got a lot of
think.
Barcelonas
I
and
tend
Real
to think
Madrid.
that this would be my betting angle on it. I tend to think if you're at home in the first leg in a really tight one like that, you don't really know what's a good result for you.
Well, the other thing
So
was
now,
nil-nil's not a
you
bad
should,
result
it should,
sometimes.
exactly.
Yeah,
It should
absolutely,
be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, that's right.
Because if you go 1-0 up, the worst thing that can happen is it will be 1-1. That will be a real disaster for you. So there's no point really pushing to get 2-0 because you want to lock up the 1-0.
Neil,
so
I can't let you
under.
talk about low-scoring games for more than about 30 seconds.
Without
Bring
Mr.
it-
Sealing
bring it
coming
to
in.
Sealing, the
What do you think, Nige?
betting
Under the
money.
goals? That's a very good point. I've got to agree with
That
that,
might be the
Nige.
best point he's made in 3 weeks. We can't hear you, Nigel, I'm afraid. Try again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
No, I'm converted to overs now, Channers. I'm an overs backer. It's taken me 20 years to realise the error of my ways.
Have I made a good point there, Nigel, or am I just being naive, though, about it?
No, you're totally right. But the thing is with the Arsenal game is I think Alan's said it weeks before. He's an Arsenal fan. He's been down there every week. I think they're not a very good side. I think their position is a false position and they're reliant on one player in Van Persie. One injury to him or any sort of injury doubt to him, and then Milan becomes serious bets. A toss of a coin there. I've got to be back with Milan in over 2 legs against Arsenal because they really are, in my view, just really a one-man side, really. And if there's any doubt for him, then Milan have got to be a bet in that game.
Interesting. Take us into the Europa League, Nigel. We're not going to spend too long on this, but the
good,
competition-
thanks.
the competition that was better when it was the UEFA Cup. Any thoughts after that draw?
Well, I mean, if you look around, Manchester City are obviously the one that everyone wants to back. They're still the team, the favourite of the market. I haven't seen any price, but I guess they're around about 4-1, that kind of price, 7-2. Even if they put out, even if they put out a reserve side, they're good enough to win this competition if they want to win it. I think Manchester United, I'll take on anybody. I mean, I think that they've been drawn against Ajax. I'll be a backer of Ajax over 2 legs against Manchester United the way they're playing. Stoke against Valencia. I mean, Stoke are good at home, but Valencia have got the European quality. But realistically, I think Manchester City can win this competition in a canter if they want to win the competition. If you were looking for an outsider, I think Udinese, possibly around about 25-1, could be a decent bet. But I think Man City, if they want to win it, they will win it.
Yeah, it's interesting. This competition has been won by a couple of longer price teams. Anything catching your eye now?
No.
We'll move on.
I think you need to look towards the Spanish teams. I think Valencia look good. I think it's 3 out of the last 5 years it's been won by a Spanish team around that mark of looking at Real Madrid and Barcelona and saying, what on earth can we win? Because they're dominating the Champions League, La Liga. So teams like Valencia and Seville take this quite seriously because they can win a trophy because otherwise it's dominated by other clubs. So I usually would look towards Spain in this situation, and the stats back that up. One thing I would say is that I did mention it last week. At the very moment that Manchester City and United were knocked out of the Champions League, we went 7-1 and 9-1. You can see now how far wrong those prices probably were based on the money. So we'll be looking for both of those to go out because we'll have heavy liabilities now.
Right,
I think the Butler saying that City can win this at a canter is absolutely true. I mean, they've got the squad. If they want to win it, that's the fair point. The outsider that we've seen money for, and I think it's a fair one, Porto 20-1, bitterly disappointed not to get through in the Champions League, and they've got a history of actually doing quite well in this tournament before beating Celtic just a few years ago. So they'd be my little outsider. So that, along with Udinese, they might be fairly decent outside runners.
Yeah, it might be a bit of value there, especially if the English clubs don't take it seriously. We'll find out. Let's move on to the rest of the action from the previous week. So little development in the Premier League because Man City lost. Does that change anybody's view of the overall market for the Premier League?
I think, basically, I mean, it's obviously narrowed it up a bit. I mean, I think we're 8-11. We're the shortest, I think, of any of the firms. I think your Al's firm are the biggest. So, I know that basically most people believe that Manchester City is still there to be shot at. But I mean, the only thing about Manchester United, I know what the Butler's just saying there, that you take them on any cost. But the tradition and the history of this league and the way that United perform in February, we've seen them been averaged so many times, yet you just know that in the second half of the season they will come good and they will win games that they're not meant to win. We've all gone broke opposing this team. There's no point in doing it.
Let me ask you guys a question. If the two Manchester teams had, they were in this opposite situations, so Man United had the points and had played the games that Man City have had and vice versa, They wouldn't be like 4 to 5, would they? They'd be
No.
more like 4 to 7.
Yeah,
They,
that's
they
two to
would
one odds,
because
maybe.
That's a
they've been
great
there
point.
because they've been there and done it.
Sure,
That's
but
exactly
then
why.
if you lined the two up on a neutral ground tomorrow, would you really make Man U the big favourites
No,
in
you
the
wouldn't.
game?
No, I agree. I agree.
Well,
I
then
think-
in
I
that
think-
case, Man City must be
Well,
reasonable
I
value.
think at this
mustn't
point
it?
now, and you've got a few experts here talking about who've been in the industry a long time. You know, anybody who really knows the game knows that Man City are a decent price at the moment. But the fact is,
I
we've
wouldn't
just
want to
been
lay
down
them.
that road
If I
too many
came in
times.
cold right now, having done no bets on it with no other information, Man City probably looked like a bet, if anything.
The thing is, they had to drift after losing at Chelsea.
course.
They were always going to drift. Now it just depends on how much. We haven't got much of a liability on Manchester City, so yeah, we have gone top price. But if you're going to start laying them and you haven't laid them before, then you might as well be laying them at 5 to 6. But I do agree with the fact that that could still be a value price. And if you got to the end of the season and you said, well, they had a 1-goal defeat at Chelsea, and other than that, you know, they romped to the title. Well, no one would say that 1-goal defeat at Chelsea was a disgrace, because that's going to be one of their hardest 3 games of the season.
Well, yeah, and let's bear in mind as well, they've played 4 of the brutal fixtures. They've got 4 of the nasty games: Liverpool, Spurs, United, and Chelsea. They've shifted them already. That's not a
one
bad
thing
place
I
to be.
noticed in our division last year, when Crawley romped to our title, they lost 6 games during the season. They lost in the FA Cup at Manchester United 1-0. They lost in the FA Trophy.
Sorry, my producer's just saying our title is. It's not the Alan Algar League, is it?
Okay, well, let's call it the Blue Square bet.
That's it, that one.
Ah, excellent use of Blue Square.
Well, I went with Al.
It's the truth.
That was an open goal.
The interesting point is that they lost in the FA Trophy at Dartford. That was only by 1 goal. They had 6 defeats. They were all by 1 goal. Now, teams will lose during the course of the season, but it depends on how they lose. And if it's by the odd goal, then I'm prepared to say that.
Interesting that you see a reaction to that, I think.
Absolutely.
Nigel, do you think Man City are a big price?
I agree 100% with what Channers was saying there. I think Manchester City are a bet. I think they're the only reason they're there is that they're proven, the manager's unproven, and they're a team that everyone expects to fail. I think the media has said this is, you know, this defeat for them has opened up the Championship and it brings Chelsea in it, Arsenal in it. That's a myth. The title's going to go to Manchester City or Manchester United. No one else is going to win this Premier League title. And I think Channers is absolutely right. If you look at the
16th of December, Nige, by the way, just to make a note of that, you agree 100% with what Channers says. That's 16th of December, 2011. It took a while.
I know. But you're absolutely right. So, I mean, if you look at the way they priced the game up in the FA Cup, Man City are favourites. Man City went and done a number of them over there. They are a bet. If you come down from Mars and looked at the Premier League title and watched the 2 teams playing football, Manchester City would be a bet all the time.
Can I ask you another question then? If I definitely think Man City are a bet at this price. I think it might be that Man United are a bit short though, rather than that Chelsea and Arsenal can't win.
They've lost their second best player.
Shouldn't Man United be more like 5-2 now?
Yeah, well, I think what the
2-1?
boy said there in the studio was right. You know, Manchester United have proven everyone expects them to go on this run that they're going to. You know, they've done it for years and years and years. But this team is not very good. I mean, this is an average. They're decimated by injuries. Key players, spine of the team, through the middle of the side. Big problems. The strikers, Hernandez, Vidic, centre midfield, big problems.
Nigel, one thing I'd say to you about that though is that if you go back over the last 5 or 6 years, United, a couple of times they've won it, they've been just as bad at this time as well. They've been really ordinary, really poor.
I don't think they have, Russ. I think this is the most average Man United team there's been. I think, and they're decimated by injuries. But the big thing is if he buys in the January transfer window, if he goes out and buys a big centre midfield player, Modric, or an Iniesta or someone on that calibre, then they could go back in again. But he has to buy it.
There's the prices for the Premier League. As you can see, Man United 2-1 across the board at the moment, so maybe a little bit short.
Far too short.
Well, half too short. Okay, let's just wrap up the rest of last weekend. The biggest football game on the planet, El Clasico, as they call it. Barcelona, quite a ridiculous price. When you look back on it, it was just surreal that they were such a big price, I think.
Well, I think we did say beforehand. I mean, I won't say that we tipped them up. I mean, I certainly didn't. I know we talked about the goals, but
I think Nick tipped them actually.
You did.
I didn't want to say, but
yeah, you did, Nick. You did.
What? We looked at the price and said, how many times are you going to get a chance to back Barcelona at this price? It's only when they play in El Clasico away in the Bernabeu that they are at this price, and you can then try and take advantage. I mean,
I just thought it was interesting that last time they played that fixture,
you've got
Barcelona
more in
won
running
5-0.
because of what happened.
Basically the same 2 teams.
Yeah,
and people won a lot in running, didn't they? That's worth pointing out.
There's a different element to it this year, though. I mean, let's just take that at face value that Barcelona were clearly the better team. So far this season, though, Real Madrid have shown one thing, that they are clinical, absolutely clinical, at beating all these bad teams and just pocketing 3 points, and Barcelona have
Well,
stumbled a couple of times. Maybe it's not the end of the world for Real Madrid. I
Let's
thought
have a look
Mourinho
at the
was
odds,
very
shall we?
cool in the press conference. They're still in with a great chance.
Yeah, these are the odds for La Liga, and Barcelona 5-4 on, and Real Madrid.
That's
evens.
a switch of
Yeah.
basically
Right.
what they were last week. Yeah, it's a complete switch of what they were last week. And yeah, you have to, again, same as with the Manchester City price, you have to make that reaction. But I agree with Russ, if you take a longer term view over the course of the season, if this is just the one defeat that Real Madrid have and then go on to beat the bad teams like they've been doing at home. I mean, we said about their average goals at home and were nearly five a game before that game. Then I would agree that maybe it's not such a bad thing.
Okay. Well, I think there might be a little bit of even more value because I think that Barcelona don't play for 2 or 3 weeks because of the World Club Championships. I think Real Madrid will keep winning and Barcelona might be an even bigger price. So keep an eye on that one. We're going to go to this weekend's football after the break. We'll look at all the big matches for you and find where your money should be. So keep it with the Punter. Welcome back to the Punter. We're getting to the important part of the show where we find where your money needs to go this weekend. We're going to start with the big football games, as ever, and the Premier League games. We'll start with the TV games in the order in which they played. 3 games on Sunday, so you can camp out. That's my plan, anyway. We're going to start with Wigan-Chelsea, which is lunchtime, I think. Should be comfortable for Chelsea. Anything interesting about the market?
I mean, the one thing I would say about this game, 2-5, I think generally across the board, Chelsea, which is an incredibly short price for any team away. Two stats about this game that I think need to be looked at is that 2 of the last 3 games that this fixture's taken place have been 8-0 and 6-0 to Chelsea.
Wow.
I mean, which are pretty fairly unique scorelines to suggest in the Premier League. However, I'm from this part of the world and I know there's been appalling weather up in Wigan, and that pitch, I mean, it is an absolute farmer's pitch, that one. I mean, it can really dig up quickly, the DW. That will suit Wigan. It might become a little bit of a blood and guts game, and that will give Wigan some kind of chance. So if it did cut up as bad as I hear it is the pitch, maybe 2-5 isn't a bargain. But there'll be plenty of people backing him on the handicap.
They've had an
Chelsea.
extra couple of days rest, haven't they? I know it's been an extended week as well, so I mean that might not be a factor. Will be if the pitch is quite heavy. I think Chelsea is just one of those standard prices whereby you will see the accumulator money for them, and if they do get beat or the game ends in a draw, then it will be a good result for the bookmakers. Conversely, if they win, as long as the results elsewhere go our way, then it won't be such a bad result either.
And Neil, Wigan have been paying your rent. As
Wigan,
discussed. Are you rolling it up?
They're my favourite side at the moment. I mean, it seems a bit mad, doesn't it? 8-1 at home in the Premier. You know, a league where we can see that anything can happen. And obviously, like you say, I'm sure Chelsea will feature in every single coupon going. I want to oppose Chelsea, really, just because that just seems too short for an away side. But at the end of the day, it's hard to really see Wigan winning. I think I'm gonna probably get involved in my favourite one of the half-time market. I'm going to lay Chelsea at around about 10-11 to be winning at half-time. I think Wigan will go out. You know, they're at home. It's not such a pressure cooker atmosphere. It's an early kick-off. Like Russ says, the pitch is going to be a bit cloggy. You know, maybe they might be able to stifle Chelsea for 45 minutes. 45 minutes doesn't sound that long, does it? You can get surely we can get them beat at odds on over 45 minutes.
Got to say that one of Neil's Twitter followers, Michael Moran, I did notice him send something to you, said you must mention the massive price of Wigan here, 8-1 or whatever it is. But
It is a massive price, isn't it?
Well, yeah, when you look at the 8-0 and 6-0 in the recent meetings, but yeah, it is a big price. But I mean, I think Chance has probably called it.
Nigel, what do you think about this? Actually, Nigel, just to explain to people what you do, because I don't think we've actually done that since you've been on the show.
We actually place bets for people on their behalf, and we locate the best price for them in the marketplace and place their bet on the clients. So all these guys' accounts through one account with us at Bet Butler.
Okay, excellent. And on this game, anything to add to what the chaps have said in the studio?
Well, as I said 20 minutes ago, it's taken me 20 years to agree with Channers. It's taken me 15 minutes to totally disagree with Channers. Absolutely no chance. There's already been a big move going for, even though people look at 2-5 Chelsea, in Asia now, you can back, Chelsea have gone under 2-5. They're 4-11 over in Asia. So there's absolutely no way that they'll be 2-5 come kick-off time. The money's coming in for Chelsea. They've become fashionable again with punters.
Wow.
Wigan, a very, very poor side. They've got a terrible history. And I think Russ made a very good point last week when he said that these teams at the bottom look at matches they have to win. You know, the Wolves picked matches. Wigan know that they've got bigger fish to fry. They've got 2 big away wins, and they look at bigger fixtures coming up. And I think that Chelsea will go there, and I think they'll steamroll. And physically, they're a lot stronger. It doesn't matter about pitches. I mean, Chelsea play all over the world, in Europe and all that kind of stuff. They're not going to worry about a boggy pitch at Wigan. That makes no, you know, it might make a difference between Sporting Bet against Blue Square in a friendly football match. Chelsea against Wigan, the pitch makes no difference. So forget that. But Chelsea will go under. I mean, I think Channers has been back in Wigan every week, but the trouble is he's been thinking it's rugby league. That's why.
It's amazing people. It's amazing people trust Chelsea again. It's turned around very quickly. Nigel, take us into the next game. QPR, Man United. You've been saying about how badly Man United have played. Presumably they've still got too much for QPR.
I disagree. I think if you look at the Premier League in the last few weeks, there's been no draws. So what's happening is I think it's 20 odd games. I mean, Alan's the stats man, and he'll tell me straight away how many games there's been without a draw. But I think it's about 22 games without. But I think what's happening this week is all the favourites are too short. I mean, I've got about Chelsea. Yeah, I think Chelsea is a different kettle of fish, really. But QPR at home are a very, very intimidating place to go. Manchester City found it tough. Chelsea found it tough. Manchester United will find it very, very difficult there. And 2-1 there, I think they're about 7-1 with the bookies. QPR. I think that's massive. I think QPR at home are a match for anybody. And I think Manchester United at 2-1 is very, very, very short. I'd be a lower Manchester United here.
Does anyone want to go 7-1? Because I'm just looking at the prices, and it's actually 6 at the moment.
After hearing the Butler's passion there, I'm no interest in going 7-1.
Oh, really?
But I mean, it's a good point again.
One thing that I just touched on in the Champions League, but I'm interested in, is that Vidic is out for the season, and there's a quantifiable difference about how many games Man United win and lose when he's not in the team. Has that made any difference to the markets, though?
It will take a while to filter through to the market after results. A stat on the table doesn't necessarily mean straight away that prices will change for a game coming up.
Okay,
but if they struggle here and it's because of defensive lapses and it looks obvious that Vidic is a big miss, which he should be, then I don't doubt that will come into play in the next few games that they play. The only thing I would say here is if I was offered 2-1 on Manchester United and the 5-2 on Chelsea and had to bet for my life that you know which one I'd want to be on out of those two, I'd much rather be on this game, the favourite in this game.
Interesting.
I don't know whether anyone agrees. I mean, I think Nigel's just managed to disagree with all 3 of us in one go just then. So
that's fair enough.
I suppose United have made a living out of winning this kind of game. They've just been brilliant at it. But I do think right now, as we sit here now, they do seem to be in a little bit of a transitional period. This thing with Vidic. I mean, I suppose if you're going to pick a time to take them on, this is probably it. I mean, and that's a good point that Nigel makes there as well. I mean, maybe QPR at home are a little bit intimidating. They're a bit like Fulham.
I wonder if we're talking anyone into this. It seems like quite a hard sell, actually. Yeah. Let's move on. Aston Villa Liverpool is the 4 o'clock kickoff on Sunday, completing the triple header if you want to bet for 90 times 3. 270 minutes of betting you could have in running. Aston Villa Liverpool.
Yeah, listen, if you bet Liverpool in this game over the last 15 years, in this kind of game, odds on away or even money away from home, you simply wouldn't be betting anymore. You go broke betting them. They are just a disaster area in this kind of game. What they're very good at, Liverpool, is getting themselves out of contention for the league and then playing really well. And they've done it again.
Yeah,
managed to be 100-1. Brilliant at it, absolutely. I know you're a fan, Nick.
No, it's true.
But I mean, they get themselves to be 100-1 shots. Then they actually win 8 or 9 games on the trot. So they'll probably go and do the business here. I mean, let's be honest. If you take Liverpool against any of the top sides at home, you wouldn't want to be against them. They're really good at home and really tough to beat.
What do we think? The prices are up there for you. They're just slightly odds on. Aston Villa look like a reasonably big price. What do you think about this Aston Villa team? They seem diabolical, but they shouldn't be that bad.
At the start of the season, people were saying when they were drawing that they were hard to beat. I just don't think they were just getting over the line in some easy games in and around there. They don't look as if they've improved at all. Their results are slightly on the up. I mean, where are they now in the table? They've moved up to halfway. I mean, what I would say here is that Liverpool were away at Fulham last week. They've let a lot of punters down. That was a Monday night game. So maybe now it's got to a stage where I know our guys always love taking Liverpool on, mainly for the reason that Russ was saying earlier. So I think some of the books might be looking to get Liverpool here, and they might have drifted to a value price.
I think they might nick it Liverpool.
Just while we're on this, I know you bet a lot of NFL, Neil, so you know there's such thing as public teams. So like Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys always priced wrong in the NFL. Liverpool are a bit like that.
They're
aren't
nearly
they?
the number one public team. I think they've got more fans than any team. I mean, Channers probably got more history of opposing Liverpool than anybody. But I mean,
this is a massive angle for me normally in the Premier is to. I mean, I've said it before. I like to play on Betfair. I don't like to give Betfair a massive ad, but I hate them in lots of ways. But I do like to lay things, and you get the option on Betfair. So you get a situation where you get a team like Stoke, say. Against a team like Arsenal. Obviously, there's clearly way more people that have accounts on Betfair that are betting Arsenal than are betting Stoke because, just geographically and the population and whatever. And Liverpool are a bit like that. There's so many more people interested in Liverpool. But actually, this game, it does nothing for me, this particular game. I think the prices just look about right. None of the three results have really surprised me that much. I can't have an opinion.
Nigel, have you got an opinion for us?
Well, my first reaction would be to back Aston Villa at the prices, or maybe, I was trying to say, lay Liverpool. I mean, a lay of Liverpool looks probably the decent play and get the draw on your side. The statistical base is all for Liverpool. They've got a very good record at Villa Park. But last week, everybody in the world wanted to oppose Villa. They played Bolton. Bolton got back down from something like 13 to 8 into about 2.3 before kick-off, 11 to 8. Everybody wanted to oppose Villa, and Villa have done a number of them. So it all depends really on the Liverpool setup, Liverpool's form. Liverpool could go and win it quite easily, but at the moment, I think the prices, I can only be a layer of Liverpool at sort of 11 to 10, that kind of price away at Villa.
Okay, Nigel, the biggest game of the weekend, again, is the Monday night game. Man City-Arsenal is the top of the table, if you like, clash. What do you think about this one? Man City are about 4 to 6 on, Arsenal about 4.5.
Oh, don't say 4 to 6 on, Nick. 6 to 4 on, please.
I do apologise.
This is
old
Sunday.
school.
This is Sunday at 4.
This is Sunday at 4.
Yeah, Sunday at 4.
Which one's the Monday night game?
There's no Monday night.
There's no Monday night game.
Yeah, the Man U game was Saturday?
Late on Saturday?
Yeah, 5.
Late on Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, so this completes your Sunday triple header. Okay, so Man City, Arsenal, Nigel.
Well, to be honest with you, I look at the prices and I think they look pretty much bang on. I mean, I think there's better options on the Saturday in some of the unlive TV games. You can have a bet this weekend on the Premier League. But I think Manchester City, again, we said in the weeks gone by about Arsenal, they're a team that's reliant on one player alone. And I think they're a side that the results aren't really justified with the performances. I think they're doing very well, but they're one injury away from a disaster. And that's my problem with Arsenal. I mean, if anything happens to Van Persie, they're in deep trouble. Manchester City, on the other hand, we've got their squad, they've got the talent, they've got to bounce back from a defeat. But the first 20 minutes, the other game against Chelsea, they were absolutely superb. They were fantastic. They played some of the best football I've seen this season. But I worry about the manager sometimes. What he does, when they go 2-0 up or 1-0 up, he takes off the best two players in Aguero and he takes off Silva. And then they let a goal back in and he has to then bring Dzeko on and he chases his tail slightly. And I'm worried that if Manchester City, if Arsenal can keep hold of them, they can probably do a number on them. But I think if it went down to the manager, I think Wenger's much more tactically astute than Mancini. And Man City have got to be 2 or 3-0 up really. But I think on the prices, I couldn't really have a bet. But I worry about Man City long term purely on the manager and the way he makes his substitutions at key moments in football games.
And Alan, you had an opinion on this game. As an Arsenal fan, you like Man City.
Again, I always have to maybe qualify everything I say about Arsenal by saying that I am a sort of pessimistic fan. That's only come in the last few years because I'm sick of getting into a taxi and the driver saying to me, "Who do you support, mate?" "I support Arsenal." "Oh, they're fantastic. I love them. They're wonderful." And usually people's opinions have been based on a match of the day edit that's cut down to 3 minutes where all the passing works and we score the odd goal, or Van Persie, scores a wonderful goal like last week. If you watch the 90-minute representation of a proper match, then there are lots of flaws in the way Arsenal play, and there have been for the last 5 or 6 years. And on the basis of that, I really do think that Manchester City are the best bet of the weekend, possibly even the year. I know I've said that before.
Oh, hold the phone, write this down. Bet of the year.
Well, I just think that I did say this last year, and City had a player sent off early on, and Arsenal won 3-0. But I do think that as long as everything's with you, luck-wise, in terms of players staying on the pitch, I know
it's your bet of the year. That's
I know
enough said.
Yeah,
You've got your bet of the year, people. All you need to do is go and put the money down, and Alan will.
Well, I just think the better bet, obviously, 4 to 6 isn't really a working man's price. They are drifting at the moment. It could come, 8 to 11 by kick-off, but I think the best bet is them to win by more than 1 goal on the handicap.
There you go. Well, we will see if that comes to pass. Perhaps something for your accumulated bets as well. We're going to do some horse racing and other sports after the break. Stick it with us. Welcome to part 3 of this week's The Punter, and we're deep in the weekend's action. We've done the main football matches, a couple of other football tips to stay tuned for later on in the show. But for now, let's look at some other sports, and of course, horse racing. Not a massive weekend for horse racing. The main meeting's at Ascot, right, Joe?
Yeah, good meeting, guys, but nothing nothing like we've seen in previous weeks, is there? But I mean, you're still seeing probably the greatest horse in training, one of the best horses we've ever seen.
You love this horse, don't
Well,
you?
it's a great horse, Big Bucks. It really is a special horse. I mean, it's 15 wins on the trot. It'll be if it wins tomorrow. You don't see this kind of perform every day of the week. It'll be about 4 to 1 on, 3 to 1 on, 4 to 1 on tomorrow in the long walk hurdle. And if it wins out, it'll probably shut up again for the world hurdle up in March in Cheltenham. So I mean, it's a champion horse, and of course this is the big handicap tomorrow with Prospect Wells, the favourite 7-2. The one we've seen money for, and I want to say money, the biggest bet we've seen so far in this race, to give you an idea, is only £100 each way, was for Brampoor at 10 to 1. So it gives you an idea that it's not really a sexy weekend at the moment.
Brampoor's a top weight. There are a lot of stats against carrying any more than 11 stone 6, so I'd be quite happy to lay that bet.
Fair enough.
Not personally, obviously 100 each way, but I really like Raya Star, and it's interesting there that I don't know whether Leon's on later. I wonder whether they've seen money for it there, seeing as they're trying to duck that one. But Raya Star conforms to a lot of trends for this race: right age, right weight, and has been very consistent lately. And I would say that each way, Sporting Bet's 11, we're 10 to 1 there, and I think that's the best race. That's the best race tomorrow. But
From
obviously,
a betting point of view.
but Big Bucks. Like you say, I don't think Big Bucks really gets the credit and support he deserves, because there's no other staying hurdler around. I know you had Grand Cru last year that was actually challenging in that field, but wasn't anywhere near the class. So it's not as if 4 or 5 challengers are coming up each time that Big Bucks actually races to give him that, I don't know, sense of victory every time he wins. Tomorrow he'll win quite easily, and all you can really compare it with is the clock. Now, we've got a win and distance double because no one's really going to want to take the 5 to 1 on. So we always do this when there's an odds-on shot in a big race like this.
So just explain that if people don't know. They can pick the distance and
you can pick the distance that Big Bucks wins by. So over 4 lengths is 6 to 4. 4 or less is 11 to 8. But obviously Big Bucks does have to win the race.
Right. Okay. I must say, it's quite nice to see you two talking about a horse with a little bit of emotion. It's a beautiful thing.
That's a good thing.
See the bookies. Not too excited by this weekend's horse racing, Neil, or have you got anything for us?
I love jumps racing. It's one of my favourite things. But it's, I don't know, the whole season these days just is Cheltenham. And sometimes, I don't know, there isn't much. The races tomorrow are just going to be, you can probably find out some things in thinking about the handicaps at Cheltenham. There's a couple of nice handicap chases tomorrow, but there's not much really that's going to do anything to the Champion Hurdle or the Gold Cup market, and unless Big Bucks gets chinned, it's not going to do much to any of the anti-post markets tomorrow. So, it's a kind of sad though, really. That I mean, you guys sponsored that meeting the other week, and there were obviously the big Newbury meeting, big Sandown meetings the last couple of weeks. You can enjoy them in their own right, but a lot of times on the Saturdays, it just seems to be that we're on one long trial up to March.
Okay,
a lot of people have said that. There are
there's
big,
nothing we can do about it right
fans
now.
out there that
There's nothing we can do. We'll keep you in touch with the Cheltenham markets for March, of course. We're going to move on to boxing, though. Interesting developments in boxing. It's the season for big fights, and of course, Amir Khan lost last weekend, which must have killed a few accumulator bets.
Listen, it was a great fight. I don't know if you guys watched it. It was a fantastic fight. I stayed up, and it was just an appalling result for me for reasons we won't go into here. But this is a terrific fight. I mean,
we've got Carl
really
Froch against Andre Ward for it's the final of the middle super middleweight Super 6 tournament, they've called it, haven't they? And a lot of patriotic money for Carl Froch.
Well,
I'm trying to explain the price.
We opened this market 4 to 9 about 3 months ago when the fight was initially announced. We've seen nothing but money for Ward. I mean, Froch has got his supporters. He's an arrogant guy, but he's been doing the business generally when the odds have been against him. But 11-4, we're not really seeing any money. Ward's a loser in our book at the moment. We'd like to see some money for Froch.
Just a quick question. Does anyone know, if you bet on a Vegas line, is it about the same as this, or is it different?
These days, pretty similar.
In
the old
really
days,
tracks each other now because of there's enough communication between the
Yeah.
two sides.
I mean, in the old days, it was amazing. You know, when we look back to Tyson Bruno, you could bet 10-1 Frank Bruno in Vegas to beat Mike Tyson, and over here he was 9-4, and people were falling over them.
I'll tell you where that's not happening at the moment. Horse racing at the moment, there are a lot of big differences between international markets and the UK market, especially sort of English horses running over in France, much shorter over here, and even over in places like the Breeders' Cup and things like
Ross,
that.
let me ask you. Let me ask you. Oh, go on. Oh, okay, we go to Nigel. He hates boxing, Nigel.
Do you hate boxing, Nigel?
I've been known to have a few fisticuffs in the past. Actually, to be fair, I mean, Russ was right. We've seen all money. Everybody in the world wants to back Ward in this fight. Everybody.
Yeah, me too.
Froch's been one of these fights. He's done it, but he hasn't really got the public support. He hasn't really ground out the results. He's been a credit to the British people. But I think if the money talks, he's in trouble for this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
I mean, it's interesting. We're actually barring the draw, which is very, very rare. We're 100% odds there, aren't we? 4 to 11, 11-4 between Ward and Froch. So,
just a bit of a detail on this. I've got a really good boxing guy who I've followed for many years. He tells me that this is all going to go to points more than likely, and Ward will just simply outwork Froch. He doesn't have the cardio for it. He'll win on points and win it quite comfortably. So that's for me.
Could not agree more. There's a big darts tournament going on right now as we speak. Matches being played. The PDC World Championship is happening. Is this a big market for you guys? You get a lot of money for the darts?
It's a huge market. It's a huge market. I mean, in recent years, you've seen lots of bookmaker-sponsored tournaments throughout darts, and it does continue to be certainly one of the key points in our top 10 sports that we take turnover on.
Well, let's have a look at the market for the PDC. Surprisingly, Phil Taylor's favourite. Not quite sure how that's happened. But I mean, he's not exactly a prohibitive favourite.
Well, I just look at that list. I mean, this is a really brutal tournament to win. Physically, it's a difficult tournament to win, and even the dog in the background would agree with this. How difficult this is to win. But
here, the dogs are all barking for Phil Taylor, aren't they? He's trying to get on at 10 to 11.
But Phil Taylor, when you look at that list, he's odds-on favourite. He's the best player ever to play the game. But look at the 4 names in there behind him. I mean, Lewis, Adrian Lewis, Gary Anderson, James Wade and Raymond van Barneveld. Any of those guys could put something together. I think this is a great year to take him on. I'm sure there are plenty of people. I mean, I just think it's a war of attrition. But I mean, I think one of these guys can take him apart at some point. And I think we're odds on. No problem taking money at that kind of price.
Yeah, I think it's a long enough tournament with every single player trying to mean that you don't mind taking on a favourite like that. But when and if he wins again, you'll be looking at it saying, well, yeah, that does look at, that's ended up looking like a big price. But Lewis got stung by a wasp last night and didn't play that well.
Oh, well, that's fair enough.
In the winter,
And just quickly explain to us why darts is a good sport to bet on. Why you like it?
Well, I think darts is a brilliant sport. It's a made-for-TV sport. We got cold weather at this time of year. People are stuck inside at Christmas with nothing else to do. They switch it on. They want to have a punt on it. And you've got to think about who you're playing against. When Russ says in the boxing that they've got big liabilities on a guy who's 3 to 1 on, where the people that have bet them bet it 6 weeks ago at 4 to 9, he's not taking on the average working man in the street here.
Right.
He's taking on serious professional punters. And if you're, an exchange layer and you want to get involved in these kind of things, you've got to think about who you're taking on. I don't really fancy Russ in this matchup between Sportingbet and serious professional punters that put their money down on an odds-on chance 6 weeks ago. I fancy the bookmakers here in the matchup when the fella's sitting at home and just fancies a little punt on the darts with 5 minutes to go before it starts.
Difference in markets is fascinating.
Because that guy, he's just having a punt for the sake of it. The match is coming up. The bloke on Sky says, well, I fancy Lewis. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll just ring up Sportingbet, or I'll click on to Sportingbet or to Blue Square, and I'll quickly have my tenner on. And in that matchup, the bookies are always the favourite.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to bring in our other punter, Gordon Watson. Flash is on the line. How you doing, Flash?
How you doing, lads?
Good. Do you like the darts as a sport to bet on?
I would basically say to anyone that fancies Phil Taylor that they should have took the even money at the beginning, and then after the third round or quarter final, then they can lay him off because he'll probably be 1-2, so they can get a bit of value. But I certainly would take him on this year. As I said a few weeks ago, I think there's a lot of good darts players about, and the gap between Taylor and the rest of the field is shrinking all the time.
Yeah, it seems to be the consensus. Now, let's do your Flash's 5. First of all, how did you get on last week, Flash?
3 out of 5, hit the post with 2. I went for a draw at Bolton and they got beat 2-1, and I went for Leicester and they drew 1-1. So it was trappy last week though, so again, but we're well in front.
We are well in front. You're still up, I think. And how do you feel about this week?
I did say that I fancied maybe 8 or 9 this week, so to pick the 5, I am quite confident.
All right, lay them on us.
I've got Everton at home to Norwich. Everton welcome back Rodwell, Osman and Drempf, so I think they'll have too much for Norwich. And then Ipswich at home after scoring 5 second-half goals last week. I think they're at home to Derby, who are young, whereas Ipswich have got quite a bit of experience in the side. And then we go down, I've got Oxford at home to Northampton. Northampton are in disarray. I don't care about the new manager, the players are just not good enough. Shrewsbury at home and Plymouth at home. Plymouth obviously need the points, they're fighting for their lives and they've got a bit more experience, so I just went for them 5 homes.
Interesting 5, and I know one of our, Neil, you've got a different opinion on the Everton-Norwich game, just to get a different perspective.
Well, I mean, I don't know, football basically for me, it's a lot of it comes down to who scores the most goals, doesn't it, generally?
It does sometimes, yeah.
Now,
if you have a look at Everton at home, they don't really score many goals, and if you have a look at Norwich away, they score shitloads of goals, and you know, I don't really think Everton are any world beaters generally. I definitely agree that Norwich are no world beaters, but they've done a lot better than people thought. You know, like if you're coming into the season, I think there's been a rebase on Norwich. They're not a relegation team.
Norwich,
they're
just
probably
score a lot of goals.
They certainly do score a lot of goals. I think they're a mid-table side. I think they're not going to challenge for the Champions League next year, but they're not terrible. They're really underrated. And I think 5-1 away at Everton, who are a moderate side for me, just looks like a massive price.
Interesting. Flash, your 5. Do you know what it'd pay roughly?
About 23-1. I think we're already 26-1 up on the year so far, so we'll just keep going.
Absolutely. Great to hear from you again, Flash. Good luck this week.
Good luck with the other 4, Flash.
Good luck with the other 4, indeed. Nice difference of opinion. You can, of course, make your own judgments. We're going to wrap up in the next part, where we'll find out where our punter is putting his money and the specials from our bookies. So keep it here on the Punter. Welcome back to the final part of the Punter, where we're going to be giving you some great tips for the weekend's action, and our punter's going to be putting our money where his mouth is. Always dangerous. Now, we're always looking for things for you to back your judgment on. That's what punting's all about. So I'm going to bring in somebody with a brand new way of doing that. Tim Dyke should be on the line. Tim, you there?
I am indeed.
Tim, tell us what you've got for us and what you've got for the viewers.
We've got a new game combining live football with the thrill of a chase. It's a bit of fun for guys out there who fancy putting a bit of spice into a Saturday. Essentially, what it is picking 3 games that kick off at 3 o'clock on a website called thegoalrace.com, and the idea is to pick 3 matches which are going to feature loads of goals. Pit your wits against your friends and see how you go.
And at the moment, we're just backing our judgment. We're not putting our bank balance down or anything.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun. I mean, if you've got a group of you in the office together, you could by all means have your private wager on it. But yeah, it's free to play. It's a bit of fun, and the overall winner this weekend can win a football kit of their choice. So basically, you up to 5 of your mates can watch your race on a Saturday on your mobile with all the live scores flying in, and you can also toggle to see the overall leaderboard. And if you're doing particularly well with your selections, then you could be in the hunt for an official shirt of your choice.
Now, it's nice looking at you, Tim, but you don't by any chance have a short promotional film that shows off the website, do you?
I believe your producer does and is about to show one.
Oh, excellent. Let's see if we can kick that into gear. This is thegoalrace.com.
Over to you.
I think we're just about to run that. Here we go. Still Tim. Tim, do your promotional smile.
Okay.
That's really strong.
Are you seeing this or?
That's really good. Okay, we've got that coming up now.
Good.
So there you go. You select the 3 matches that you want. Any division.
All 4
But it has to
divisions
be
on a Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoffs.
Okay.
And then when the action begins, the goals start flying in, and the kit that you've designed will start flying along that pitch. There's Ricky Lambert banging one in.
Oh yeah. So you can track how you go on that graphic.
This is it, yeah.
Okay.
And then when you get to the end, it's simple. Whoever scores the most goals wins.
Cool. And you can follow your friend's progress and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. There you are, all 5 of you on the same screen together. I think this weekend there's a few fixtures that stand out for me. A lot of people would assume that Peterborough, bear in mind they as you guys will know, tend to feature a lot of goals. They've had more goals in their games than any other club in the country this season. But they're playing Coventry, who've had fewer games that have gone goal crazy than anyone else in the Championship. So it might be one to avoid this week. So I'm looking at the top there. Blackburn-West Brom looks pretty tasty to me. Between them, they've played 30 matches in the league this season. Only one of them has finished 0-0. So I'm fairly confident you'll see some goals at Ewood Park this weekend.
Okay, chaps, volume of goals. You get bets on that, and you bet the unders a lot, Neil. So what do you think of this?
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like fun. I'm guessing, though, if you have to pick the match rather than the individual team, aren't just loads of people just going to go for the same ones? I mean, Chelsea away this week, and that, big favourites. Man U away, quite big favourites. I would have thought you'll just get like multiple entries with the same 3. How does that work, Tim?
Well, we've been testing it behind closed doors for some time. It's been in operation for about 3 years, and we've been developing this particular website, thegoalrace.com, for 6 weeks. And we've actually only had a couple of ties in terms of people picking the same 3 teams. So we'd have a playoff in that rare instance, which can generate quite a bit of excitement. I suggest, if you're feeling fairly bullish, that you 4 in the studio there sign up as soon as you come off air.
I was going to suggest that, Tim, and get the butler involved and have a cheeky monkey on the side.
well, why not? Why not, indeed? It's pretty simple. Log in, it'll take you about 2 minutes, and then wherever you are on a Saturday, you can follow your progress.
Sounds good, Tim. And just one more time for everyone at home, it's thegoalrace.com.
If I haven't said it enough times, that's right. www.thegoalrace.com.
No, you need to get it out there. That's important.
Absolutely.
Well, good luck with it, and come back and tell us how it goes.
Will do. Look forward to seeing how you get on at the weekend.
Great stuff. Thank you, Tim.
Cheers.
Let's get back to the real betting markets with reality TV. I think we'll do. We're running out of reality TV markets. It's Christmas and all the shows are finishing, which is a bit of a shame. But the X Factor finished at the weekend, and that was a big betting market, and went according to form. So I don't know what ramifications that have, because it's a little mix with the favourites for 3 or 4 weeks, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. I would say that this is why it's difficult for bookmakers to win on things like this, because the votes tend to go with the money. You know, if you're backing up your opinion by phoning to vote for someone, then you may well be backing that person as well.
So they reflect each other, right?
Yeah, I think it's a point I made a few weeks ago. So they're hard markets to win on. Some do flip at a late stage, but by then you've obviously laid enough of one that anybody shrewd is going to get out on the other anyway. So this one went to.
I must admit, as a market, I haven't followed this year, but one interesting thing was that everybody had been saying for 2 weeks how terrible Little Mix are actually at singing, not that they weren't going to win it. And now I notice I just looked at Christmas #1 today, expecting to find Little Mix to be the favourites, and they're nowhere near. I mean, there's an 8-1 on favourite, and it isn't the X Factor winner. Is that a market you guys have been involved in a lot?
Well, it's been a difficult market for a long while, because obviously you had to bet without the X Factor winner to try and get any kind of interest in the market, because they was on. And then you had that Rage Against the Machine campaign, which managed to get their song to #1 against X Factor. It was the first time X Factor hadn't won in about 4 years. Is this one the Military Wives?
Exactly, Military Wives. So that's just gonna win it, isn't it?
It just has everything behind it. The fact that it's also it's not an actual pop song, is it? It's more of a choir song. So yeah, I don't doubt that's why. But that's the tricky thing with this market, and I would say that market's been quite dead for a while.
Yeah.
It used to be a
Yeah.
very
It's
good
just
market.
not alive.
Yeah,
It used to be a great
People,
market.
too
Yeah.
much
Used
is
to be a very
known
good
now,
market.
isn't it?
Yeah, I
In
think
the
so.
years gone by, was not so much known in backing and judgment. And Strictly Come Dancing finishes. Is it finishing this weekend? I think?
Thank God.
weekend, yeah.
Thank God.
This has been a
If I have
debacle.
to,
And
if
look
I
at-
have to have any more money on Jason Donovan this year,
He must be a value price now.
I mean, Janice and I have averaged out on this from 6 to 1 all the way up to 12.
Hasn't Nigel
Where's
Seeley,
the
the betting butler?
There he is.
Oh, there he is. How can he show his face? How can he show his face?
I expected to see Jason Donovan sitting next to him there.
Nigel and I were talking in the week, actually. We said the only way we can save Donovan now is if Kylie Minogue comes and does a little duet with him and actually
Could
cheers him on. That's the
happen.
only chance he's got.
Nigel, defend yourself.
I've been on the phone. I've tried to get Kylie down. She can't make it. She's washing her hair. I managed to get Mrs. Mangle and Bouncer. I don't know how to do it. I don't know, but I'm not sure. I mean, I must admit, hands up, I've got this well wrong every week I come on here. I must admit, but I have got a history of doing quite well on these things, but not this series. I've got it completely, utterly wrong. I mean, the guy got 4 10s last week. 4 10s. And he's gone out to 28 to 1. I mean, what's going on?
Turns out it's not a dancing competition. It's almost like it's a popularity contest.
I know, it's incredible. I mean, I know that we're trying to get old reruns of Kylie and Jason. Angry Anderson's going to be in the crowd apparently, but if he doesn't win, it'll be Angry Seeley. That's an absolute certainty. But I mean, I don't know. I still think, I think the favourite's too short. But I mean, what do I know anymore? I've lost complete faith in myself and my ability to pick winners here. But I think that's sort of 2 to 5. Whatever you've had on Jason Donovan, lay the jolly for it and go out for a smash out. That's the old Janice style.
Oh, dear.
That's the way to play it,
dear.
definitely.
Okay, we're running out of time on the show, so we're going to have to be quick, chaps. We're going to do your tips, Neil, if you could just rustle through them for us.
Well, actually, I'll go with a quick reality one. Can I get in
You
that
do
one?
whatever you want as long as you're quick.
I'll be quick. Christmas TV.
Yes, this is a great one.
Because Downton Abbey is on, of course, and Downton Abbey got 12.7 million viewers last week. EastEnders won Christmas TV last year with 12 million viewers. They've gone and put them on at the same time. We're going to back Doctor Who, Nick, at 11:08. I've got
Doctor Who,
two.
all right.
I've
Just
got
very
2 charity
quickly,
bets.
what's the,
I'm going to lump the charity
bets?
money. Yeah, it didn't go. I'm sacked the NFL. Hasn't been going very well. We're in the last couple of weeks of the season. Lots of teams not really interested. So I'm going to go with the football. I'm opposing Flash. I said to you the reason. Norwich score goals. Everton don't. They're both fairly mid-table teams. 200 quid at 5 to 1. How can anybody be 5 to 1 to win away at Everton these days?
Okay, you're down, and Chelsea winning at half-time against Wigan.
5 to 1 in a place they are, I think you'll find. Betfair maybe 5 to 1. I don't know, it might be one.
And you've obviously, like, it's a charity bet, but you've kicked in £30 of your own, so you bet 5.
No, I haven't.
Well,
bet.
you have, you're down for it now. Those are
There
your
you
charity
go.
bets.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, well, you can, no, because I'm laying 330. I can lose 300.
Okay, that's
because
how it
I'm
works.
laying, you see.
I
I
was
can
just
only
making a joke.
lose 300. I can see that.
Yeah.
So Chelsea
okay,
to be winning at
guys.
half time against Wigan. That was my other one.
You're down for those. This is our last show before Christmas, so just quickly, price on a white Christmas? Because I think it came in 2 years ago, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
It was 7 to 1. I know it's been shortened up in the last few days, but I mean, listen. Nick's
Four-
obviously got
four-
some sort of.
four- no, I have no clue.
The way you're looking at me, Nick,
No, I
you
don't.
some inside information.
We were 11 to 2. It snowed in London this morning. It's into 4 to 1. Yeah, it's
Okay.
one of those markets where people just
All right.
take advantage of what's going on.
Does your dog think it's going to snow at Christmas, Nigel?
No, he doesn't think it's going to snow. He's been
Okay.
out now. He thinks it's going to be. It's going to be a snowy Christmas. I mean,
I noticed he's gone. He's gone down to back Norwich in the bookies, has he?
Well, I'll tell you what, I agree with you, Channers. I think Norwich are aggressive. I also think Bolton at 5 to 1 away at Fulham. Fulham have got massive problems behind the scenes there. I mean, there's problems and more. The goalie's out for Schwartz,
Okay,
arguably
Nigel.
their best player. 5 to 1's a big price to them as well.
Bolton is a great tip. Have a great Christmas yourself. Thank you so much again.
And you guys, cheers.
We've
See
run
you,
out of
Nige.
show at the end, but thanks so much as ever to Neil Channing, Alan Alger and Russ Wiseman. Great stuff, lads, as ever. I hope you got some advice. Hope you have a fantastic Christmas period and that your present is lots of winning bets. We'll see you in the new year on The Punter.